All right, everybody, it's my second live of the night. I want to break on here and just cover some things because it's on a lot of people's minds tonight. I know there's a lot of people that's thinking about what went down last night around the world. We had, I call it the tale of two presidents. I want to be very, very respectful in what I'm saying tonight on the show. And that is that we had at the same time, and I know that this was not planned. I just got to believe that this was not planned. And maybe for the elites and for the powers that be, it was their plan. But I think a lot of people were taken off guard here and surprised that at the same time, simultaneously, in two different parts of the world, the presidents of two different superpowers were speaking. So tonight, by the way, we're on Facebook, Rumble, and YouTube, and X. So if you can see me and hear me, let me know that you're watching, where you're watching from. Give me a comment. Give me a like. Smash that like button. Smash it, smash it, smash it. As you can see, I'm not walking around Walmart right now like I was earlier tonight. Thank y'all for your patience on that. I'm in my studio tonight. But I want to get right to it. As you know, probably going to end up being probably the biggest interview that's ever been watched before. And regardless of how you feel about it, we have I'm so tired, y'all. Help me. Tucker Carlson went to Russia, and when he was in Russia, he interviewed Vladimir Putin. And it's just mind-boggling that he was able to get away with that and able to do that. Many people are coming against him. People are saying treason and all of that. But it's a 2-hour interview. Now, granted, I want to go ahead and give you full disclosure right now. I have not watched all of it. I've watched some of it. It's 2 hours, guys. So that's a little much for me to get together at one time and watch. But I want to just play this little 4-minute clip here. We'll stop it and comment on it. This is some of the reactions. It's from the Daily Caller. So some of the highlights there. And then just tell me what you think about it. And also let me know in the comments or the live chat if you have watched the whole interview and what you thought about what was happening there. So let's watch a little bit of this here on the Daily Caller. And, of course, it's all on. If you want to watch the full interview, you can go to X or even YouTube, and you can see it, Tucker Carlson's interview. Let's watch this. See if we can get the play here.
Our senior United States senators from the state of New York, Chuck Schumer, said yesterday, I believe, that we have to continue to fund the Ukrainian effort or U.S. soldiers, citizens could wind up fighting there. How do you assess that?
This is a provocation, and a cheap provocation at that. I do not understand why American soldiers should fight in Ukraine. There are mercenaries from the United States there. The bigger number of mercenaries comes.
All right, so let's take everything that Putin says with a grain of salt. But we've heard that. We've covered that here. Sandy and I both have covered that we have people in the military and intelligence that have told us that we do have American forces on the ground in Ukraine, and we have had them on the ground in Ukraine for a while. And so he's saying that there are mercenaries on the ground from America fighting now. And we, of course, are fighting by proxy by all the money that we've given. But I'm not making Putin out to be anything great here. I'm not a fan of Putin. Putin is a man that's got a lot of blood on his hands. Okay, he's a communist dictator. He is former KGB. So we understand our eyes are wide open here. We're not in love fest with Putin here. But what I want to show you is the whole world is watching. And let's compare and contrast the two presidents of the two most powerful countries in the world.
Comes from Poland, with mercenaries from the United States in second place and mercenaries from Georgia in third place. Well, if somebody has the desire to send regular troops, that would certainly bring humanity to the brink of very serious global conflict. This is obvious. Do the United States need this? What for? Thousands of miles away from your national territory.
So let's stop here and realize what he just said. If someone brought troops, human troops there to fight, it would become a global, a threatening of a global war. So basically he was saying if you officially send American soldiers here, it would be considered to be an act of war with Russia. It would not be considered that you're defending and helping an ally in Ukraine, that it would be an act of war.
Don't you have anything better to do? You have issues on the border, issues with migration, issues with the national debt, more than $33 trillion. You have nothing better to do, so you should fight in Ukraine?
Will there be talks, and why haven't there?
So, I mean, look, like I said, there again, I want to say this, probably say this 10 times on this video here. We're live, and I'm looking at the live chat, too. I'm thankful for all the people that's in here tonight. You're on a Friday night. It's all kinds of things you could be doing. It's Central Time right now live. It's about a little after 9:30 p.m., and you're on here with us, the Big Picture family. We appreciate that. Smash that like button if you hadn't. Now, one of the things, let's review, if you come in late, Putin is like, why would you want to fight a war with us? We don't want to fight a war with America either. So why don't you worry about your debt? Why don't you worry about all the things that you got there, but you continue to send money over here for Ukraine? It would be a mistake for you to send troops here as well, is what he's trying to say. And then you've got Putin declaring here that Tucker's going to ask him the question, would you be open to discussing peace talks with Ukraine?
There have been talks about resolving the conflict in Ukraine, peace talks.
They have been. They reached a very high stage of coordination of positions in a complex process, but still they were almost finalized. Moreover, the president of Ukraine has legislated a ban on negotiating with Russia. He signed a decree forbidding everyone to negotiate with Russia. We know that he is putting forward some ideas about this settlement, but in order to agree on something, we need to have a dialogue. Is that not right?
Well, but you wouldn't be speaking to the Ukrainian president, you'd be speaking to the American president. When was the last time you spoke to Joe Biden?
I cannot remember when I
What?
talked to him. I do not remember. We can look it up.
Wow.
You don't remember?
No. Why? Do I have to remember everything? I have my own things to do. We have domestic political affairs.
Well, he's funding the war that you're fighting, so I would think that would be memorable.
Well, yes, he funds, but I talked to him before the special military operation, of course.
So when does the AI...
All right, so let's review there again. What he's saying is, would you be open to discussion of peace talks? And he says there was negotiation of peace talks to wind this thing down, but Zelensky passed a law saying that it was illegal to negotiate any peace with Putin, that they had to Putin had to surrender, Russia had to surrender. There's no chance of it ending. And I think you and I both know that probably Zelensky is under direct command from NATO forces, maybe even America directly. Now, I want to say again, I see some comments in there in the live chat. I want to make it very, very clear that I know that Putin is an evil man. Okay, I'm not a fan by no means, but I'm just saying that on the world stage, and then we're going to show you. And it grieves me to have to do this, but I think most of you have already seen it anyway. But the whole world is watching. Iran is watching. China is watching. Hamas is watching. Hezbollah is watching. Israel is watching. Who is going to be the strong leader? Who can we gravitate to? Whether we agree with their politics or not, who's going to take us to the next level? Now, we've talked extensively on the Big Picture about BRICS. BRICS is exploding in growth right now. BRICS is made up not all exclusively, but almost all of communist and socialist countries. BRICS standing for Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. All right, so they call it BRICS. But we all know that the two main forces is China and Russia. Well, they have their own digital currency, their own CBDC that's going to be backed by gold, and countries are lining up to be a part of BRICS. I mean, think about this. They are turning away from the U.S. dollar. For decades now, for generations, the whole world has traded in the petrodollar. They have all traded in using U.S. currency and petroleum to buy and sell every kind of thing you can imagine. But people are moving away from the U.S. dollar at record pace. Countries are saying we don't have anything to do with the dollar. They want to be a part of BRICS. Well, it's not that they all agree with the policies of those that are at the top of BRICS, but people gravitate to confidence. And Putin he's a dictator. He is a Russian KGB communist. There's no telling how many people have been killed by Putin. There's no telling how many people have been killed in Ukraine and in other wars and even of his own people. But the reality is this: we're not talking about policy. We're not talking about patriotism. I'm an American. I love my country, and I'm going to support whoever's the president. I'm going to honor the office of the president. This is not about dishonor of the office of president. Tonight is about confidence. You've got to be able to speak with boldness, and there needs to be, especially if you're a superpower, there needs to be a sense of gravitas, a sense of you don't want to mess with them, because let me tell you, I can talk a big talk, but when it comes right down to it, I'm not going to mess with them because I don't want to deal with that country. Well, I think we all realize that there's not a lot of fear in the world right now when it comes to the United States. But I want to show you one other thing in this interview. This is a 2-hour interview, and I was able to find like a 4-minute clip here to show you from the Daily Caller. But I'm telling you what, Tucker's man, he's pretty incredible. He looked one of the most dangerous men in the world in the face and said, "You've got an American journalist in prison, and he's not a traitor. He's blah blah blah." And of course, Putin said he is a traitor. We don't really know all the facts there, but he called Putin out, and he said a few things of what I've seen. Like I said, and I watched it all. Some of the clips that I've seen would get you killed, but because of who he is and the world stage it was in, he felt bold to say it. But I thought it was interesting that the next thing in this clip, he asked Putin about AI. He asked Putin about when is AI going to control the world? Listen to this.
AI empire start, do you think?
You're asking increasingly more complicated questions. To answer them, you need to be an expert in big numbers, big data, and AI. There are reports that Elon Musk had already had a chip implanted in the human brain in the USA.
What do you think of that?
Well, I think there's no stopping Elon Musk. He will do as he sees fit.
Who blew up Nord Stream?
All right, so real quick. There's no stopping Elon Musk. The president of Russia just said that. So I wonder what Elon Musk is thinking right now when it comes to that. But he goes on in the interview. I seen another clip where they talk about super soldiers, that they've already got the technology to make super soldiers, and super soldiers are going to be made. But now you remember the Nord Stream the Nord Stream pipeline that was blew up in the war. There's a big, Russia did it, Ukraine did it, NATO did it, America did it. Tucker just went there. He just went there and asked him, who blew it up?
You for sure.
I was busy that day. Nate, do you have I did not blow up Nord Stream. Thank you, though.
You personally may have an alibi, but the CIA has no such alibi.
The CIA has no alibi.
Do you have evidence that NATO or the CIA did it?
You know, I won't get into details, but people always say in such cases, look for someone who is interested. With the backing of CIA,
wait a minute. I'm not even showing y'all.
The organization you wanted to join back in the day, as I understand.
Sorry.
We should thank God they didn't let you in. Although, you personally may have an alibi, but the CIA has no such alibi.
Do you have evidence that NATO or the CIA did it?
You know, I won't get into details, but people always say in such cases, look for someone who is interested. With the backing of CIA, of course. The organization you wanted to join back in the day, as I understand. We should thank God they didn't let you in. Although, it is a serious organization. I understand.
Did you hear what he said? He joked about Tucker wanting to join the CIA. He led the interview by, when he asked the question about Ukraine, the first response that Putin gave him, he said, can I give you a little history lesson, because I know that your degree is in history. And Putin was just like, how'd you know that? But yes, and he came to this interview with much information. He didn't just sit down and talk to Tucker. He knew everything about Tucker Carlson. That's why he's even talking about that he knew that at one time, Tucker wanted to join the CIA.
Understand. My former vis-a-vis in the sense that I served in the first main directorate, Soviet Union's intelligence service. They have always been our opponents. A job is a job.
A job is a job. Now, it's the tale of two presidents, and it grieves me because let me just tell you real quick my story. My grandfather passed away from Alzheimer's when I was in high school. He was really the only father figure in my life. I watched him die of Alzheimer's. I lost my mother to Alzheimer's and dementia. I lost the greatest woman of God I've ever known, which was my mother-in-law, my wife's mother, to Alzheimer's. Almost all of my brothers and sisters, my wife's brothers and sisters, my uncles and aunts, either died of Alzheimer's or had the onset of it with something else. So it's genetically in my family history, heavily. Sandy and I both have watched how horrible it is with both our mothers, and like I said, my grandfather. So I would not dare make fun. In fact, I think it's pretty obvious for those that watch this channel, you know how I feel politically. I am diametrically opposed to the policies of Joe Biden, and most all of his policies. I think that he is to blame for many of the things that are happening. But ultimately, really, as a president, he's really not, because from the very beginning, I think we all know, we saw it in the campaign, and it has drastically gone down. And it was difficult to watch last night. When the report came out on the files that they were not going to prosecute him, because although it said that he willingly took classified files, he knew that he was doing it. They literally said in the report, we would not prosecute him because we believe the jury would be too sympathetic, and we would not get a judgment that is on the prosecution side, because they would feel sorry for an old man who has dementia, who has memory problems. He goes on to say in the report that he could not remember when he was vice president, and he could not remember when his son passed away, several other very important dates that most people could remember, and he could not remember it. So they chose not to prosecute him because of his lack of ability to reason and think in his memory. But yet he's the president of the United States. So just randomly, out of nowhere, it took the press corps off guard. There came a message in 45 minutes. The president, right after that report dropped, is going to address the nation. You very rarely ever see him in a podium for obvious reasons. Many people speculated that he was going to get behind the podium and resign based on the report, that he was going to step aside and Kamala Harris was going to become the president. Well, he didn't do that. He doubled down and basically was trying to use that as a victory lap, because he's not going to be prosecuted. And then the reporters, they turned. Now I'm going to let you watch this, and then I'm going to tell you what's happening. And I think most of you know what's happening, but we're going to put it on the record tonight of what we feel like's happening.
President Biden, something the special counsel said in his report is that one of the reasons you were not charged is because, in his description, you are a well-meaning elderly man with a poor memory.
I'm well-meaning, and I'm an elderly man, and I know what the hell I'm doing. I've been president. I put this country back on its feet. I don't need his recommendation. It's totally out.
How bad is your memory, and can you continue as president?
My memory is so bad, I let you speak. That's
your memory has gotten worse, Mr. President?
My memory is not good. My memory is fine. My memory, take a look at what I've done since I become president. None of you thought I could pass any of the things I got passed. How'd that happen? I guess I just forgot what was going on.
Mr. President.
Voters have concerns about your age. How are you going to assuage them? And do you fear that this report is only going to fuel further concerns about your age?
Only by some of you.
Mr. President, cleared up criminal liability today. But do you take responsibility for at least being careless with classified material?
I take responsibility for not having seen exactly what my staff was doing. It goes in and points out things that appeared in my garage, things that came out of my home, things that were moved not by me, but my staff.
Mr. President, for months when you were asked about your age, you would respond with the words, "Watch me." Many American people have been watching, and they have expressed concerns about your age.
That is your judgment. That is your judgment. That is not the judgment of the press.
They expressed concerns about your mental acuity. They say that you are too old. Mr. President, in December, you told me that you believe there are many other Democrats who could defeat Donald Trump. So why does it have to be you now? What is your answer to that question?
Because I'm the most qualified person in this country to be President of the United States and finish the job I started.
Do you believe that, guys? Why are you confusing the names of world leaders?
Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much.
I did not share classified information.
Now, see, here's the thing. The press has never, ever treated Joe Biden like they did last night. They have acted like there's not anything going on, that he's sharp as a tack. But last night they were relentless. That it was sad to watch for a human being, for a man. You wanted to say to yourself, what is wrong with Jill Biden? What is wrong with his kids? Is it that important that this figurehead is propped up? This man needs help. I feel sick even saying this because I've watched it. I've watched it happen. Many of you have watched it happen, your families. We all know what we are seeing. And this is the President of the United States. The special prosecutor said we're not going to prosecute him for crimes that we say he willingly committed because we would not get a jury that would convict him because they would be sympathetic to an elderly man who has memory issues and cannot process mentally things. But yet he has the codes to the nuclear weapons. He could put us into World War III. He ultimately, his signature is what signs laws into law. It is horrible. He goes on to say when he was defending, and they don't have the clip, but when he's defending the statement that was made in that report, that one of the things that he couldn't remember was the when his son had passed away, and he just got mad and cussed and said, "Listen, none of their blankety business. I don't need nobody to remind me when my son," and your heart went out for him. And then he had this rosary, and he said, "I carried this rosary in me, and when he got it from, and I'll never forget it, we got it from," and then he just freezes. He can't remember the rest of the story. He can't remember where he got the rosaries from. He can't remember, and it's so obvious on his face. But here's what I want to say to you. This is what happened last night. The interview came out with Putin, and you can say what you want to say about Putin. I'm not a fan. He's, like I said, I've said it again. If you come in late, I want to make it very clear. We all know who Putin is, former KGB. He is a communist dictator. No telling how much blood is on his hands, okay? But he's very intelligent. He popped off facts last night that with no notes. There was no teleprompter. I mean, he's sharp as a tack. Now, his health may not be good. Many people believe that he still has some type of cancer himself. I don't know. But he's popping off facts like he is in his 40s. And then I think the Biden administration panicked when that report came out at the same time that the interview with Putin was going out, and the whole world was seeing this person that is leading the attack against Ukraine. And the whole world has been told to fear that he really wants to take over the world. He wants a world war. He wants to go to war with America. But then he came across as this sharp guy, okay? Whether he's a master manipulator or not, they panicked. And they said, we've got to put him out there. And I don't know what they do to prop him up and all this. They were hoping against hope. It was a mitigated disaster. And I'm telling you, the powers that be, I think some of them panicked and got him out there, but I think most people were saying, this is our time. This is our time. We've been wondering how we were going to do it, but this is it. This is how we're going to do it. And we're unfortunately going to have to take advantage of a man who is not well. And we're going to put him out there, and the press is we're going to give them permission to turn on him, because we got to get him out of the way, because there's no way that he can beat Donald Trump. And we've got to have time to figure out a way to replace him. I believe that last night was the beginning of the replacement. Of course, there's all kinds of speculation who it would be. Personally, I think most people realize that Kamala Harris is not popular. I think most people know that there's no way she could beat Donald Trump. So I think she's out. Obviously, people come to Michelle Obama. Everybody that I follow that has intelligence is saying that Michelle Obama would be the one that would have the best shot against Donald Trump, simply because name recognition. But she don't want it, because she's living the high life now. She's, Hollywood money and all of this, and she don't want to have to deal with the pressure. If you think about it, right now she's a multi-millionaire, multiple homes, living in Hawaii, living in Washington, got houses all over the world, producing Netflix movies, and don't have to deal with the pressures of the press and all of that. So I don't think Michelle Obama is going to be the one. Maybe they can force her into it. I don't think it's going to be the one. I think it's going to be, as shocking as it sounds, I think it's going to be Gavin Newsom. And I don't know how in the world this country will forget, and I don't think Donald Trump's going to let them forget, but, we're pretty gullible people here. They're going to forget what he did to California. Not only what he did during the Wah and all the shutdowns and all of that, the strictest of the shutdowns in the country, telling churches they could not only could they not gather, if they did gather, they could not sing, chant, or pray, and even went so far as to address online people, that you could not sing online, because if you sing online, you could possibly spit into the eyes of the cameraman. Let's don't forget that. But then think about it. He was the mayor of San Francisco. Look at San Francisco, one of our great cities, one of the most beautiful cities in America, is now a trash heap because he was the mayor there. And people are leaving California in record numbers. But he's probably going to be the nominee. And he is a tremendous debater, and he's a very charismatic person. Who knows what's going to happen? But I can tell you this. It is going to be interesting. This is my prediction, not prophesying it, not saying I heard from God. Just my gut feeling is by March, sometime in March, it's going to be pretty obvious that the days are numbered, and there's going to be something around this summer. It may not make it to summer, but I think sometime around this summer, some kind of announcement's going to be made by Biden and his family that they have made the decision that they want to spend time with their family, some sickness, some illness. They won't say it's because of dementia, it'll be something else. And therefore, we're going to step aside. But we're very, very excited to throw our support behind the man, the woman that's going to beat Donald Trump, and they're going to do it right before or right close to the convention. And there will be no debate. They will be able to appoint and put whoever, whether it's Gavin Newsom or someone else, is someone unknown. They'll be able to place whoever they want to place in it without a primary, because the primary votes will pretty much be done, or all the votes will be given to Biden. These are all my predictions. It's very, very possible that Biden may somehow prop him up to go into the election. In my opinion, I know the powers that be will do everything they do to keep Trump out. I don't think he can beat Trump. But who knows what's happening? Who knows what's coming? But this show was to say, look, on the world stage, when you're looking at the Middle East, when you're looking at China, when you're looking at Taiwan, when you're looking at Israel, when you're looking at all of our allies, and then you look at all of our enemies, and they are just weighing the scenario. And on the same night, they saw Putin looking sharp, dropping facts, being confident, being bold, being powerful, carrying himself as a man. And then we saw our president struggling to complete sentences, struggling to remember what he needed to say next. He was even struggling to read the cue cards. And then here was the big thing for me. The press in that room turned on him. They turned on him. And I'm telling you, they have not been like that. It was very, very obvious to me. They've been given the permission. It's time to put the heat on because we got to replace him. That's my opinion. What's your opinion? Comment down below. If you're watching the replay, if you're watching on Facebook, don't forget, subscribe over at YouTube or Rumble. These are the places that we try to be all the time. YouTube especially. Most things are also on Rumble. Very few things are on Facebook. So get over here with us. Join the Big Picture family. Share, like, and do everything you can do to help us build the Big Picture family. We appreciate you. And we'll probably do a breaking news tomorrow. Hope you guys enjoy these breaking news that I come in. They're unscripted. They're just random. And I just get in here and just talk about it. I love my Big Picture family. God bless you. And remember, we ain't woke, but we are certainly awake. See you next time on the Big Picture. God bless.